Hey everybody, welcome to the Have You Ever Played podcast, the only podcast that gets good after 100 hours, I swear. Please play that far into the game to get it gets good, I swear. I'm Matt, aka Matt Fondude, and who are you?
I'm James, aka James04E.
And a little insider baseball about how the podcast is working. This week, James doesn't have a webcam, so James to
Ease.
me is a circle with a gradient in a black void. A circle with a gradient and a black void.
Ease. It's my true
Um,
form.
it is it is weird. It is kind of just like a dystopian future. I'm just talking to a gradient circle. Um, but maybe that'll be life, with AI and
Maybe.
or like AI companions. James, have you touched any of those replica AI like weird companion apps with the horny memes?
No, I have not, but I have seen an influx of AI memes.
Do you know what I'm talking about though? Where it's like an app called like Replica, and it it has like a picture. They're literally paid for ad spots that use like meme templates, like like the Drake like looking at something and being like no, and then being like good, and it's like an AI that sends you steamy pics.
Oh,
Good, like an AI or I don't know, real life bad. I don't know. It's just like weird memes.
yeah, I haven't heard of that, but that sounds yeah.
So it's an AI app um, where it's one of those language model things where you type in and like you can make it your like girlfriend or your like daughter or like mom or something. I think it's like you could like pick a kind of a relationship type or like just your friend,
Hmm.
and then you talk to it, and then people liked it, and it's one of those things where it's like lonely people got into it, which is fine, and then they're like, "Hey, let's exploit lonely people, and all these features you enjoyed, let's now start charging for them a monthly
R
subscription."
nar.
Yeah, and let's lock this person you have. It's probably not healthy to have a relationship like that much with this chatbot, but you have this like actual relationship with them in your point of view, and now let's lock it behind a paywall. Uh-oh, it's got me business.
Oh no.
Um,
Just like a
so
real
this is
relationship.
this is the video game podcast, I guess in theory. Um,
In theory.
J- so James, have you ever played any of those like Second Life or any of those like VR chat kind of like games like that, like more social
Uh
focused?
no, I haven't. I have some friends who play them every once in a while, and I've watched streams of them.
Hmm.
It's interesting. I've also seen lots of like compilations of them. It's
Yeah,
like
I
people just run into like Rick and Morty randomly and shit like that.
yeah, that's very VR chat.
Yeah,
I played I tried to play Second Life when I was a lot younger, just to do the building stuff because I thought it was cool that you could have any kind of 3D model and you could like build things. And there were a bunch of these like third party clients for Second Life that weren't actually Second Life. There was a couple different third party ones, and I thought it was kind of an interesting concept, but I ultimately didn't really get into it. But it is a wild world.
hmm,
Um, yeah. Another thing is so I was Second Life, and there's also the VR chat, and I think I would get a lot more into VR chat when I get a VR headset at some point. I think I
yeah.
would actually have a pretty good time just messing around, talking to people. Um, and I feel like that would be it would be a fun stream game, except VR chat is has some degeneracy that I can't control. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, people play Final Fantasy 14. That's actually some funny gaming related news that I keep seeing in Reddit general periphery of my vision. Um, Final Fantasy 14 is has a known modding scene of people modding their characters to look like horrendous, atrocious, horny monsters. Um, and there's just some like wild stuff in that game. It's crazy that people play that game as like their Second Life equivalent, even though it's so much harder because you have to do all the modding and all that nonsense. It's like I
Yeah.
don't know why just play something else, you know? I don't know. It's anyway, James. Let's get into some more gaming news. More
Gamer
gaming.
news.
This is gonna be the most gaming week of all time. Um, have you been doing anything cool gaming? Have you thought about any cool gaming recently?
Um, yeah. So this week I was kind of was going through all my live service games. Played a little Dota just because the international was going on and it ended
Hmm.
yesterday. Um, yeah, that was fun. I played like 5 games. I think I went 4-1. I was like, damn, cool. I'm gonna go and play something else. Um, and then I played a little bit of Overwatch 2, but only the Halloween events. Um,
Okay.
my friend wanted to get one of the achievements for Junkenstein Endless, and he was complaining about how the randoms that he find are like really bad. And then we tried to do it, and we died like a lot quicker than he expected. And he was like, "Well, damn, maybe this is actually just hard."
Maybe
And then we
he was
did,
bad or they were bad.
man, it was pretty hard. I mean, we had 2 healers, which probably wasn't optimal, but yeah, it was hard. We just kind of died.
It's
Um,
kind of wild to me that Overwatch came out like first Halloween, like came out with a really fun event that everyone liked, and pretty much every seasonal event, and then just never did anything else.
well, they actually do have some other Halloween events. So apparently last year they did a different one, and then this year they had like the Diablo inspired one.
Okay.
Um, which oh boy. So the idea is cool, and like the actual mechanics are cool. The idea is that you're fighting a bunch of quote unquote demons as Diablo inspired as characters with Diablo inspired skins, and the demons are just like Omnics. And then every once in a while you get like a mini boss. It's like there's a shaman which is Ramatra. There's I don't remember the names because they're weird Diablo demon names, but there's like Wrecking Ball. There's Moira, who's like Moira's meant to be Lilith.
Well, she's already a demon
Yeah.
in that game.
Yeah, and it was really fun because like when you kill a boss, you get like upgrades for your abilities, which I'm sure is leftover assets from the single player. But
Oh yeah.
um,
Oof.
yeah, it was cool because I played Reinhardt and I got like my fire strikes would leave behind like Torbjorn lava, which got really confusing because one of the bosses made Torbjorn lava too, and I kept stepping in it thinking it was my own, and then I would just die. Um, and then there was one where every time I swung my hammer, I would do a fire strike. And yeah, it was cool. I do wish that ultimates are way too infrequent in that mode. Like I get one shatter per for like each boss at most, and it's a 2 second stun. It doesn't really do that much, especially since the bosses are like very high health. Like, jeez, they have to have like hundreds of thousands of HP, if not more.
So
Um,
yeah,
but
this is
yeah,
my hard read. I think just even by like describing that, I mean, it doesn't sound like the most fun thing in the world, but it's at least it's something.
yeah.
But my hard read is I think that Overwatch is gonna be come. It's gonna have this like meteoric comeback, this like big rise randomly like coming for soon or whatever, and then everyone will pretend like they always liked it. I have
I,
this I have this
I,
vibe. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I think Overwatch might be past at this point.
I
I
don't know.
think
I
I
think
think
they'll
people
do
aren't that
something.
into like I think people just generally aren't into like uh newer zero sum games like team versus team for the most
Uh,
part.
I don't think it even has to. I think James. I think they need to do like a little like cyberpunk edge runner anime thing. I think they just need something like that. Something that people like the characters and they don't give a crap about the game. To be honest, or like everyone's been
Well,
saying this for a million years. Make like a little like animated thing.
sort of.
But
So the problem
mhm,
with that is that so Cyberpunk is inherently about role playing.
Mhm.
So like I could literally do a build where I'm just like David from the anime, and I could feel cool.
Yeah.
But like I feel like in Overwatch that fantasy would shatter really quickly. Like, if they make like Reinhardt one of the really cool characters in the anime, and then you play the game and you're playing Reinhardt on like Watchpoint Gibraltar, and you're like, wow, I'm miserable. It's like this
Well,
doesn't feel
but
like the anime at all.
I mean, I think if they kept with the PvE stuff, that would have definitely expanded the player base a ton. But for people who are more casual and like, I mean, I know I would still be playing Overwatch 2 right now, like actively, if I didn't have become like disheartened because of the PvE announcement. Because I was thinking, I'm like, I had friends who had Overwatch 2 who honestly were bad at the game, and I would queue with them, play quick play still. I'm very competitive, so it would kind of suck losing horribly because your friend is bad. Um, but like it would, playing with people who are actually like not like don't you play games often. It's kind of annoying, but I liked Overwatch and I liked playing with them. And I was like, oh, if we do the co-op is not as bad because at least if you're playing co-op, like you're just having a fun time, even if you're losing or whatever. When you're playing a more competitive shooter and the enemy team is like saying very valid but mean criticisms, and then your friend's like, "Can you believe this jerk being like, why did you play McCree and not shoot a single person?" And also like somehow team killed someone even though there's no friendly fire. Um, it's just like, yeah, I kind of agree with them, but I don't know. I
Yeah,
The
I don't know.
point is,
I
yeah,
feel like yeah, with a multiplayer game, it's always going to be hard to get like an influx of players from an anime when like they're trying to like role play effect essentially. Like
maybe they needed to do some sort of spin-off game or something,
let me see
like
if
using the characters from it.
How Arcane impacted the League of Legends player base.
I mean, I started playing League of Legends a little bit again when that came out. I actually didn't because of Arcane. I just wanted to play at the same time. And a lot of people in the games were like, "Oh, did you come back from watching Arcane?" I do think again, as a competitive game, people assume you came back from watching the show and would flame you for being bad.
Like I guess actually also League was already pretty popular, so it might be a little bit different. Like I
I
feel
think
like
it
lots of the
definitely
people
give it
that
a
saw
boost.
Arcane have probably played League before, and they were just like, I kind of liked League, and like Arcane kind of makes me want to like play it again. And it's not as
Hmm.
much like, oh my god, Arcane's so cool, I'll play League of Legends now.
Yeah, and just the type of game it is. Again, two competitive kind of games. If they had that PVE grindy mode, for sure you could have got and kept a lot of players. If it was just like, oh, I'm gonna grind and get like a new item and I can decorate something and do whatever. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think let's see what happens with all the big sweeping changing and management and stuff like that. They can make a good game out of it. Like they can make a gold mine again, and it probably already makes a good amount of money anyway. But like they can take it and reinvent it, and everyone will pretend like they liked it the whole time. I don't know. It's kind of the modern
Yeah,
thing with
I
gaming.
I don't know. I think that the hate that Overwatch received, so people can say that they like it now, but I don't think people are necessarily going to pretend they always liked it.
Hmm.
Because I mean, sheesh, if you look at the reviews right now, like you can't like pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah, I know, but like maybe an influx of people come in, you know. But like they really need to make crazy changes. Also, this is assuming they don't give up on the IP, which I don't think they will. Like it seems like
Yeah, they definitely won. I mean, they've made a new team for the game, so like, but yeah,
yeah.
like even looking at like Cyberpunk on launch, it wasn't nearly this bad as far as like like the community's views. And also
Well,
like Cyberpunk reviews like steadily went up. It isn't necessarily they just like spiked somewhere.
that's also a little weird too because Overwatch came out and people really liked it, and then it like got bad. So it's not like Cyberpunk came out, then there was an update and made it bad, then now it's good again. You know what I mean? It's kind of a
Well,
weird,
yeah, but to be fair, we're talking about Overwatch 2 in this specific
yeah.
case.
I guess, which it's just it's again all these. This is a weird thing now with like Counter Strike 2 and all that, where it's just like it's a game as a service, but it's like a soft relaunch. It is kind of weird. Um, you know what's funny about that? So CS:GO and Overwatch can do that because it's a skin based, like all the progression in those games is like skins and stuff like that. So you can carry that over through all the games, right? But Call of Duty has been having an issue where the way the gameplay loop of a Call of Duty game is like go into game, unlock gun, unlock attachments, and stuff like that. And they kind of can't. They've been trying to do some of the stuff like maybe like the Warzone and all that, right, where it carries over, but
Hmm.
they kind of can't just make like one Call of Duty game and then just keep it up forever because how would they keep up with, like they have to keep resetting the entire game for it to function, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, to be fair, Call of Duty is a psyop, so it, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like, it's literally a psyop. So,
Okay,
so like you can't
elaborate.
elaborate. They
Yeah, you're
literally work with the military to make the games.
okay, but like I know, but what does that have to do with the like keeping it a game as a service? I mean, they
Well, they have to,
I
so they have to release a new Call of Duty, right? Like every year,
mhm.
and they need to give people incentive to like they need to I guess like almost romanticize like the like progression and stuff, and like like unlocking new guns, things like that.
Mhm.
So like it's a way of it's a way of keeping people's attention for in like I guess more condensed periods, right? Like there'll be like a few months where somebody's obsessed with Call of Duty, right?
Well, it's also like kind of what I mentioned on the podcast before with the FIFA and the Madden and the Call of Duty, where sometimes that is a person who only buys those like 3 games, and that's the only games they buy every year. That's like their one purchase a year. So it makes sense. And they're making money, like a full price $70 game every year off
Mm-hmm.
of it. And I don't think a subscription service would, do well. And also they can sell a $70 game with microtransactions in it as if it was a free to play game anyway. Um so it's obviously it's making money. It is just like kind of in a perfect world of like, oh, it would be cool if, uh it was an ongoing thing. Or maybe it wouldn't be. I don't know. Um you
Yeah,
know
I
what
don't know.
game needs to get a sequel and or just a revamp? Uh
No.
For Honor. Do you know the game For Honor?
Yeah.
It's the Ubisoft game.
I thought the
Um
game was just straight up live service.
it is kind of, so like For Honor is a game that's like it's hard to describe. It's like a third person, almost like a chivalry-esque type game where you have like directional combat where you can like block and parry and do stuff and push and do, it's like 1v1s kind of a game. It's pretty fun. Um, Problem is that game came out many years ago, and it's basically impossible to start playing it today and like get into it. It's just like, how are you going to get in as a new player for this game that came out? I want to say like 6 years ago or something. Um, it's $3 right now on Steam, by the way. Uh, it's basically free to play because you can. There's a lot of DLC. Uh, yeah, 2017 is when it came out.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I think that's also like part of the reality of of games like that is that the game is 6 years old, so the amount of new players is going down. So
mhm.
yeah, I feel like I guess they could make a sequel, but
Mhm.
I don't know if that's really where the direction they want to go in.
Well, I just think that game needs either like a reboot, or they could even do like they could benefit from the really sappy bad Overwatch 2 slash Counter Strike 2 treatment of just adding a 2 and just kind of making it a little different
I
to
don't know.
gain
Do they really
attention.
need to make a new game for that though?
Well, no, it would be the same. Like it would literally be the same game. It's just like a marketing kind of like just reset the servers. You know what I mean? Like kind of everyone keeps their skins, but just kind of I mean, there isn't really like. Well, I guess there are well, at least when I played it, there were like cosmetics that I think gave benefits. I don't remember.
So what's the part that makes it hard for new players to get into it?
Well, I think that it's just people who have played it are like killers on there, and they're so good. Like it's you're not gonna really find people of your skill level because there's not enough new players playing it. So you're just gonna get like destroyed. It's like a fighting game. It's like a late stage fighting game, and there's like a million DLC characters. So it's like when you if you play like Street Fighter at the end of a Street Fighter's life cycle when it's on Ultra Super, and it has like fifth or Tekken even where it has like 47 extra characters in it, and they're all crazy and everyone's good, and it's just like it's you know what I mean. You just need to go back to that like 10 character roster. You know what I'm saying? It's so much easier to start at the beginning of those kind of things. Um,
I mean, sort of. I don't know. I don't know if like doing like a borderline content web for a new game would necessarily make it better for new players. I think it's more of a marketing issue. Like if they want to get a larger new player base, then they could do like all sorts of marketing. They could like have bundles for like the DLC characters, or they could like make some DLC characters base or something like that, and give
mhm.
compensation to people who bought them.
Well, then you kind of have like a Destiny 2 situation where it's like, oh, let's make it like remove all the old content and only do like new content, but we'll do that like every month. You know, that's like too far. Um,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
in that
I don't know. I
direction.
just don't know if it's like a problem that uh, I don't know. It's just how it goes with old games, and like they could make a sequel in theory, yeah. But like if they just want to like keep supporting the current one, I don't know if they necessarily have to.
Well, it's like I want to play For Honor again, but like I don't want to jump in on it right now, and kind of
I also
almost
feel
same
like
thing with like.
that's also a situation
Mhm.
where you might just need some friends to play it with to like get started.
I guess. Or like a Dead by Daylight, which I would be maybe interested in trying, but it seems like the consensus is like don't even start this game. It's toxic. The player base is like super toxic. You won't like it's not even worth playing it because you'll just have a bad time. Um, and it's like it's too far gone. There's things, and I guess they have been adjusting things in that game to make it easier to get in. But there used to be things where there were like survivor traits and like abilities that just like were not available, and they were like the best things in the game. It was something where it's like on a rotation, like that Fortnite shop thing. But it's just like, oh yeah, this is optimal, but it's like one day of the year they'll sell it. You know what I mean? Like it's just stuff like that where it's like it's hard to jump in on a game. It's hard to jump in on a live service game when it's deep in a life cycle. You know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's weird because like part of it is just like a player skill problem, which you can't really fix with the sequel or anything. But like, I don't know. I mean, like, there does need to be a progression system so that people don't like, so that people still get like their mileage out of the game, right? Like, if you started off with like all the best stuff unlocked, then there's not really as much incentive to keep playing as there were for the original players.
Yeah,
And when you
and
combine that with like the skill gap, I feel like people would just quit more quickly. There's nothing to
and
really look forward to.
there's also the issue of like I feel like when a game comes out of that nature, there's the simple versions of characters. Like if you think of a fighting game or something, there's like the simple archetype of each character. And then with each like additional expansion or DLC, it takes like a mechanic and it makes it wackier. So it like assumes you are already like familiar with the base mechanics and then it makes it more challenging or it expands on that. And then if you do that like 5 times, like some of the meta might be something so inaccessible for like a new player. Like when I was playing Dota 2, like maybe if I played Dota or like played earlier Dota 2 and stuff, I could get in and be like, "Oh, okay, I kind of know what's up." But now with these like additional mechanics of like, okay, here's the what was that new thing now there it's not even new, but it's like newer to me where it was like there's like these shared items that you can get now or
Shared
something like that.
items.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Where like you like an
Uh,
item will drop and then it goes into a special inventory and then someone's like, "Oh, I'm
oh, the
picking up
neutral
that."
items.
Yeah, there's like neutral items and there's different types of things and all that. There's like a lot of it's just like so many mechanics, you know. But then
Yeah, but
again,
like also to be fair, that's to keep like Let's keep more experienced players engaged. Because like if so in that case, it's not really a content problem because you have access to all the same content as the more experienced players. It's not a content problem. It's the fact that the mechanics are too complex, which I think is like a separate problem from what we were referring to earlier.
Hmm.
Um, and like so the issue is like when games start getting older, you do need things to keep the existing player base engaged. And like yeah, it can alienate new players, and there are some cases where it does go too far. I agree with that. Um, but like I don't necessarily think that it's as simple as just like making a new game
I mean,
for like a solution.
yeah, but I
Like
guess.
I think it's a matter of like better tutorials and like a better like onboarding process for like skill brackets and things like that, and like also um perhaps like have like I know that Dota for your first 20 games they like limit the hero pool, and I think they change some base mechanics to be a little less complex, and you also like have to you can also only play with like other new players, like stuff like that. Like if you're an older player, like if you started playing the game like a while ago and then you like stopped, then it won't be there for you. But if you're to make like a fresh account, then you would get that.
But well, here's the additional thing though. Like, what at what point? And then, like, it could also like have there could be like deprecated content. Like, this is more of an MMO issue where an MMO is similar to this too, where sometimes the expansion content is way better, and all of the beginning early game content is like from 20 years ago, and it's just trash, and they have to go back and like fix it and stuff. But I don't think there's been. I think we're just in a time where certain games are like, is this just gonna exist forever now in perpetuity? Like, are they just gonna keep updating it? Is like, are people going to try to get into Dota 2 like 40 years from now or something? It's like, oh yeah, I played 40 years ago, so like now I'm, it's a much different game. You know what I mean? Like, it's
I
kind of
mean,
weird to
I
think
guess, but
about.
that isn't that the equivalent to making a sequel though?
Yeah, no, I know, but like, I guess it's maybe like the Ship of Theseus thing. Like, when does it become a new game? If there's so many updates and it's been like 40 years, like it's now a completely unrecognizable game. Kind of like Maple Story. The Maple Story of today is unrecognizable from the Maple Story of like when it launched. It's the
Yeah.
same game. It is just like pretty much, and there's even the old content is in there, even though half of it's like deprecated and weird. But it's just like becomes its own thing. Um, I think more so it's just gonna be weird. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess at least like Dota and like CS:GO are almost like chess in a way. They're almost like you know what I mean. It's almost like an established kind of, here's the rules of this game. It doesn't change that much, I guess. Or I guess maybe more like Counter Strike. It's like, here's the guns, here's whatever. Um, but maybe more I'm thinking of games like a Smash Brothers, or like a game that has a big. The whole gimmick is they add new characters to the roster, and like, where do you go from there? Like with the new Smash Brothers, I don't know if you've really played it, but like there's like a ton of characters. Like, where do you go
Mm-hmm.
from there? Like, are we gonna have 500 characters in a game at some point? Like, it becomes absurd.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I also guess to be fair that Smash does release new games, which could have like different
Hmm.
character pools. Like
But
like I know that there have been like new Smash games that haven't had characters that the previous ones had before.
yeah, well, I mean, the latest one has every single character that's ever been in
Yeah,
Smash and new
wasn't that
characters.
also the gimmick of this one though?
That's true, but like, where do you go from there? You know?
I don't know. You could do like more specialized casts, or like they could focus on like new characters that they haven't tried to do before.
But going back to Dota a little bit, do you think that, well, how many characters? We've talked about this a little bit too, but like, how many characters are in Dota right now,
I think like 124.
or like in League too? Like, do you think that there's a cutoff point where it becomes like overly excessive? Like, if there's like 1,000 characters, like, when does the
Um,
matchups become like, okay, this is the, if someone picks the most like, because I guess part of it is like kind of knowing matchups, right? Or like knowing what a character does.
yeah.
But if someone picks like a character that is like the 999th pick, or whatever. Like, how are you supposed to deal with that? Like the bloat, you know?
In what sense? Like in the sense of countering them, or
Well, I'm saying like when does it become there's you need to that's what I was trying to say about with making a new game or like For Honor. It's like how much content can you put into one game where or you I guess you just have to do like seasons or something. You can't just have all the content from the beginning of the game if it's like a 10-year-old game and then always have that, you know what I mean? It becomes too overwhelming.
uh, yeah, it can be. It's both an onboarding thing and also making sure that like characters have explicit intent and you maintain archetypes.
Mhm.
Because like you could say like there are many characters in Dota that are pretty similar. Like they do the same general job. They just might do it in a slightly different way, or they might have a slightly different gimmick.
Mhm.
Like for example, like Sand King and Earthshaker. They're both like stun characters that buy a blink dagger and stuff. But like Earthshaker has some like terrain generation, whereas Sand King has invisibility combined with wave clear. So it's like generally in like a team fight, right? They're trying to do similar things, but some of the details are slightly different. Like Sand King might want to stay within a certain area, whereas Earthshaker might look to cut you off when you're like trying to disengage.
But like what I'm trying to say too though is like how is someone supposed to get in like if John Dota, right? John Dota played Dota for like 15 years and is now like he's just kept up with it. How is like little Timmy I mean, they're probably not gonna be facing each other, but like how is little Timmy supposed to like have any chance of like even knowing what's going on without like extensive research and just like, learning everything?
Uh, I mean, yeah, there does need to be a learning period, obviously, because like I mean, the reality is, right? If somebody's been playing a game for 15 years, there's a lot of experience, and they shouldn't. It shouldn't be that easy to catch up to them when you're just starting. Like it should take a long time. But like
Yeah, I'm
also
not saying they should be
lots of stuff
beat.
that they've learned is like documented and things like that. So in theory, it should be easier for you than it was for them.
True, and I'm not saying like oh like they should go up head to head against each other. I mean
Yeah,
I'm more just saying like there's so much to learn. Where like it was piecemealed at the time. It was like it was as it was coming out, so you only had to learn bits and pieces at a time, and then as opposed to it's like eating like little bits of something as opposed to trying to like scarf down an entire just like feast in one sitting. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, I don't know. It's a weird
uh,
problem that is going to happen
yeah. And
eventually
I
with
think
some of
it's a
these
matter of
games.
both pacing and like educational content, right? Because like so yeah, like while these people did get everything coming out like one at a time, they also didn't have other people to explain it to them. Like they had to figure it out themselves. Like they didn't
Hmm.
have as strong of a community necessarily. They didn't have like content explaining the matchups or anything like that. And so like as games get older, there are more people in the community that are able to help condense the information because they had to learn it at a much slower pace and they had to kind of figure it out themselves. They didn't really have help with it.
Yeah, I guess. And there's like the video guy. It is like the rise of like going on YouTube and like research. Like I guess that's more of like a competitive thing, just like
Yeah.
researching and like trying to
But
figure
yeah,
out what
like
the
the
best
reason
thing
why
is.
live service games can exist as they do now is largely in part to the progression of the internet and like internet communities and things like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. Maybe we should. We were on this topic for a hot minute. James, have you? What other games have you been playing this week?
Yeah, so I talked about Dota, Overwatch. I played Apex as usual.
Hmm.
There was actually they did two Halloween events this season technically. So the first one, it was like themed after a character called Revenant, who's like the like robotic assassin character who's all edgy. And there was like a new grenade that when you would throw it, it would like home it. It would just find a target, like it was a skull grenade.
Hmm.
And then the second Halloween event was I don't remember what the name was, but it was like on night versions of all three of the maps that are available this season, and it was like it was like trick or treat theme basically, where like you could find candy around the map and it would level up your shields.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I think there was another part to it. I can't quite remember what it was. but yeah, so that was fun. It's actually funny because the new Apex season comes out tomorrow and it's on Halloween, but they did all their Halloween events already. So it's kind of funny. You can't play the Apex Halloween event on Halloween.
Oh, they shut it down like
Uh,
already?
yeah. So Apex events normally go for 2 weeks, and they usually try to do an event at the end of the season for the last 2 weeks, just so like you're not at the end of the season with like nothing to do or something like that.
It seems like a bit of a misstep to have it like end right before. Like you should at least have it like go through Halloween.
Yeah, it's just a season scheduling thing, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't know exactly how they. Well, I generally know how they schedule the seasons. Like it's usually like 3 months a season. But I don't know. I imagine they like found out. Oh, like 3 months is on Halloween. Like, are we gonna do anything about that? And somebody's just like, no.
Yeah, there must have been some just like oof,
uh,
whatever.
yeah, I was like, well, that's unfortunate. We got deadlines to meet. We
Um,
got we got shareholder meetings that the day after. Better be on time. Um.
Speaking of Halloween games, uh, I think the king of Halloween related kind of games like that it would be Team Fortress 2.
Hmm.
Um, were you a big? We've talked about Team Fortress 2 at some point, but like,
Yeah.
were you into Team Fortress 2?
Yeah, I played it a bit. When it like first went free to play, I played it on my
Mm-hmm.
I played on my couch with my laptop. I
Mm.
just lay on my stomach.
That's a vibe. Yeah, I forgot those
Yeah.
times. I was also doing that. But yeah, no, Team Fortress 2 always has really good. I mean, they used to have all these different Halloween events, and they always went all out for their Halloween stuff. And definitely some of the fondest memories of Halloween related gaming are in TF2.
Hmm.
They apparently did an update this year. I mean, they always add cosmetics, which is fine, but like, and all the like active Halloween game modes are live, so it is pretty nostalgic to play. I think I might have to try to get in there at least once before spooky time.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, do you have any other Halloween? Do you have any games that you play around Halloween to like get into the spirit, or like do you have any like memories of Halloween kind of games?
No, I don't really have any games that I play to get in the Halloween spirit,
Well,
particularly.
what about like? I mean, I'm thinking like even back in the day, like there was a bunch of those like Cartoon Network like website games that were like there's like a trick or treating game that's like classic, and
Yeah.
and like the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy like flash game where you could like it was like based on that like pumpkin special they had, uh and you can
Hmm.
like it's like the world's worst platformer, but it was cool because free games online. um it's kind of weird to think about. uh we grew up in a time of like flash games being like, oh my god, you can like play a game on your browser, like. And I guess kids these days, it's more like app store stuff that they'll be nostalgic for. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's their flash games, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, but like, and I guess I've seen some kids play like some cool math gamey kind of stuff still, or like the Friday Night Funkin' like in your browser, like so that still lives on a bit, or like agar.io, like
Hmm.
that lives on. But yeah, I don't know. I've been getting a little nostalgic for Flash games recently, but you obviously can't easily play them for the most part.
Hmm.
Um, I know there's websites that like allow you to play them still, or like they archived a bunch of stuff and made everything work, but still, it's I feel like it's not as accessible. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be a big stream though for me. I'll do
Mayhaps.
I'm looking at a Reddit post right now that says this website archived 150,000 Flash games using an emulator. You don't have to log. Okay, I guess that's a stream, baby. Because I'm just looking at it right now. All right, I guess that's gonna be the stream playing all these dumb Flash games. Um, I love. Do you have any classic favorite Flash games or like games you played in the classroom? Like you must have a the teacher let you play on the computer game.
Yeah, I was a big Poptropica enjoyer.
Okay, a Poptropica head. That can we agree that that game had nothing in it? Like it was a non-content game,
Yeah,
but
there was so much nothing. Like you go to the new area. I remember once they were like developing a new area and they just put it in there and it was just empty and they were like coming soon. It's like, what do you mean?
okay, wait. This one's for the real ones, for, the people who go on Fun Brain. Um, this is for the real ones out there, and also the thing about funbrain.com is I think you must know what I'm talking about with Funbrain. Do you know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about? Okay, there's a website called Funbrain. It's still here. I'm looking at it right now. I don't know if the games are the same. It looks like, oh wait, they have some of the classic games on here. Oh, did they finally make this game that I'm gonna reference? All right, one second. Um, on funbrain.com, and maybe I'll have to stream this too because it looks like they might have made it. There was a thing. It was a website that had educational games and it had like more like traditional Flash games.
Mhm.
And on this website, you would go on, your teacher would be like, "Oh, play the math games," and you'd sneak on and play the real games.
Yeah.
And
I remember once in library class I started playing Adventure Quest Worlds and
oh yeah, that's
and
another
and
classic.
the librarian just was right behind me and they're like, I'm gonna need you to log off, sweetie. Like they actually hit me with that exact quote and I was like, damn.
Oh yeah, I got in trouble for a lot of like playing games that were not like not bad, but just like not you were not supposed to be playing these games right
Yeah.
now. Um, but this Fun Brain arcade, it was like a board game board, and on the board it was a bunch of games, flash games, and if you beat them, you got to progress to the next part of the board. And
Hmm.
there was cheat codes, and everyone somehow knew different cheat codes that would like skip you around. And it was like there was a game called Mighty Guy, which was like a side scroller, and it was drawn in like stick figure on a notepad
Oh yeah, I
style.
remember that.
And I loved that game. And there was a sequel, Mighty Guy 2, and it ends on a cliffhanger. And there's all these like flash games, and this board ends on a coming soon screen that I would check from like then till now, and maybe they actually have actually added some stuff, but they had these games, and it was like from then until now, and I would refresh every day or every couple of months, and it never came out. And if you know, you know, Mighty Guy, write us at HYEP podcast at gmail.com. That's HYEP podcast at gmail.com. If you've ever played Mighty Guy, if you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, we're right now we're in a renaissance of video essays and content for us. I'm sure there is a bunch on Mighty Guy. Like we've hit that time where everything is made for us for like 5 years, and then we'll
Man.
be old news. Um, yeah, I was very passionate about that. But yeah, you were saying Poptropica. For those who don't know, James, can you explain what Poptropica is?
Oh boy, it was like you create your own character and it was God, it was literally just a clicking game. Like you would just walk around in like these side scrolled worlds and you just click things and it would do the interaction for you. Like you didn't actually get to like fight any bosses or anything. You just click on the boss and like they just die or something.
No, okay, it's actually way more heinous than you remember. Um, so Poptropica came out, and you we walk around or whatever in these worlds, but eventually it became this ultimate marketing tool where there was a million crossovers in Poptropica where you'd be walking around. It's like a billboard for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like every world was like an ad, and you could just walk around and click on ads basically.
Yeah.
Um, I remember a cool feature was pretty much any NPC in the game. I think you could like wear any of their outfit, so like you could just click on them and like take an outfit piece from them, so you could like customize your character and stuff. But like you could do nothing in that game, but everyone played it.
Yeah.
Um, oh my god.
Man, I remember the superpower island. That was so disappointing.
That's the whole game. It can be summed up as it was so disappointing. Blank, blank, blank. It was so disappointing.
Man.
Um, I'm looking at I'm just looking at Flash Museum right now. This is just gonna be a stream that I'm gonna do. Um,
Man.
Wild. Should we read some questions, you think? Or maybe actually let me tell you a little bit about what I was up to and then we can maybe read some questions. I'll keep it semi
Yeah.
brief. So I played this game called Slay the Princess. It's really good. Um it is a psychological horror kind of almost Doki Doki Literature Club dating sim is like the setup like in terms of gameplay. It's like visual novelty. Look it up, called Slay the Princess. It has an interesting art style, and it's like a game where you have a bunch of choices, and it's cool. It's good. It's a good spooky ish game to play during Halloween.
Damn.
Um, Highly would recommend it. I was gonna stream it, but I didn't know if the content would be too extreme to stream. And for the most part, it's honestly not that bad. Um, So would highly recommend. That's kind of a brief recommendation. It's kind of hard to talk about anything about that game without kind of spoilers, but I guess it's kind of Disco Elysium style in terms of you have like inner monologues and everything is narrated. So the game, it's basically like playing a little movie or something. It's like
Hmm.
choose your own adventure book and everything's narrated. Check it out. Um, I've also been playing Rune Factory 3 farming game. Is fun. That's about
Oh,
it on that. Um and I'm going to beat Persona 5 Royale uh Royal. I have 117 hours in to this stupid game and it's good, but it's just so long. And I've officially hit the like extended content from the Royal Edition, which I'm
hmm.
assuming maybe will add another like 20 hours of gameplay. And I've hit the point where I'm like, this is good and all, but like, checking my watch, like, man, I'm really playing this game, really still been playing it. I don't know.
Boy, this game's really getting played,
Maybe like 30 hours less would have. Maybe they could have cut some stuff. It might have been okay.
man.
Um, but yeah, that's been fun. James, let's get into questions. I think I paced my rant earlier. Kind of revoked my question or revoked my week summary because I ranted
Damn.
about games. What are games? TM for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
James, would you like me to ask you a question or would you like to ask a question?
I guess I'll ask one first.
Okay.
All right. What is the most disappointing video game that you have ever played?
Okay. I know. I have an immediate answer. Um, it would be I think I might have mentioned this before, but as a kid, I wanted SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, and my parents
Oh
gave me the
no.
choice between the Game Boy version or the PS2 version. Because back then, kids don't know. Back then, the portable version and the console version were completely different games, and it was a gamble because like you could be getting a garbage version of a game. Um, and that's what happened. Where Battle for Bikini Bottom is a beloved PS2 slash GameCube game that everyone loves, and Battle for Bikini Bottom for GBA is hot garbage. It is so bad. It is like
R
a
and R.
puzzle game, side scroller, and I remember vividly having like a fit and like whipping the cartridge, like literally like buying it like that day. I probably could have returned it. I was literally like baby child though, so like age appropriate to be throwing fits still, I guess. Um, Baby child, and I immediately instant regret of just whipping this cartridge across the mall, being like, "This is terrible." But I got it back, but I should have returned it and got the other thing. But my parents were probably rightfully like, "This kid needs to chill. We bought him a video game. We're not gonna go back and do whatever."
Man,
Um,
that's funny because that reminds me of So I once accidentally stole a game from GameStop. It was Ben 10 Protector of Earth. And so what would happen was like my brother was buying something at GameStop. It was like me, my brother, and my mom, and I was just looking at the game. And I was like, "Wow, this looks so cool!" It was like it was a Nintendo DS game, And so I was looking at the game, they bought their something. They're like, James, it's time to go. And it's like, okay. And I walk out of the store and we like get home and I'm like, damn, I still have the game in my hand. And we drove back and gave it back, and nobody noticed. Like I could have fully gotten away with it. I'm
I
pretty
think
sure.
that was a good like I mean, realistically, that's not even a game to like die on a hill for. Um,
Yeah.
but
Uh,
that was probably a good life lesson to go return it.
yeah. The funny thing is, I did end up buying the game later.
That's hilarious. You
It was
just
just,
stole it.
okay. It's kind of meh.
Um,
I probably just it was a Ben 10 game, so I thought it was the coolest shit ever.
it would have been better if you had stolen it though. I bet you would have enjoyed it more if it was free.
Probably. Yeah. But for my disappointing video game, it would have to be Brink. I remember when I was
We've definitely. I'm just like getting a deja
yeah
vu because I've definitely
yeah
told my
we've talked
story, and we've
we've talked
talked
about
about
Brink.
Brink like 5 times and how like
So I
you
don't
know
know if it
what.
was in the context of this question, but I know we've talked about Brink before, and I think what's always so funny to me is I remember I was a little James. I was watching the trailers and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. And I got the game, and at first I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm doing parkour and stuff. And then like I think a week later, I started it up one day and like I think this was after like the school week, so I hadn't played it for a bit because I wasn't allowed to play video games on weekdays. I opened it up
Mhm.
and I'm like, wait, this is kind of not that good. And I remember like I finished the story and the ending was such a I don't know, it was a non-ending, I guess is how I describe it. Like nothing happens. And it was
Are
like
they
so obviously sequel bait, but at the same time there was no progression in the actual story. So I was really
did,
confused.
did they look at the camera and say, "We're on the brink"? Truly, we are
I mean,
brink.
they borderline did. It's not that far off from what actually happened. Like it was literally like at the end they were just like they're like the Ark, which is like the place where everybody lives. It's like a city on the in the middle of the ocean or something. And they're like, yes, the Ark. This truly was the Ark.
Is it just me, or does Brink just sound like a game that's gonna fail? Like the name of the game, it just feels like it's not gonna do well.
Man,
You know what I mean?
yeah, and you know
May-
what's especially funny? So I didn't know this until like so I actually figured this out like 4 years ago, but my freshman or one of my teachers my freshman year or one of my professors my freshman year of college, my first year, and he was also my advisor. Apparently, he worked on Brink, and it's like a really touchy subject for him. Like whenever people will talk about Brink, he'll actually like he's normally a really chill guy, but he'll be very like obviously really uncomfortable about it, and he'll say like, hey guys, calm down. It was a good game. Just stop talking about it.
I want our podcast to be successful for the sole reason of I want people to edit together the Brink supercut for all the times we talk and shit on Brink because I'm kind of here for it. And maybe we
Man,
should stream Brink. Maybe we should. Wait, is that only on Xbox or something? Is that like locked?
I think it's
Is
on
that on,
PC, but I think the servers are gone and like the game probably isn't available for purchase anymore.
maybe we could
Actually, let me
find
check.
some way to
It'd be
get
on
it.
Steam.
Yeah,
It's still available.
Brink. Oh, Brink is free
It's
on Steam.
free. Damn.
Wait a minute, bro. Let's play. Can we play Brink right now? People said bad game runs like crap.
Oh,
Can you? Is it still work?
I have no idea.
All right,
Uh
I'm
oh,
downloading
I actually remember
Brink.
the DLC was actually good. The Brink Agents of Change DLC, it was unironically good.
Wait,
Like
this was
they
a Bethesda published game.
yeah, like the
Oh,
guns they added were really good. The new abilities were great. The attachments like the riot shield and the bayonet were so much fun. Like it was actually sick.
all right.
Unfortunately, the
I'm
base
gonna
game wasn't very
download
good.
Brink. Let's have if we can get Brink to work. Let's have Brink cast next next time,
Man,
and then we can truly put that to rest. All right. If we can, I'll try to download it after the pod. If we can get it to work, I will
oh,
play
it
some
works on
Brink with
Steam
you.
Deck too.
Oh, beautiful! I can play on my deck. Perfect. That's not all how I would want to play that, but good. How is Brink like even on? Like I okay, I was not expecting that to be on here.
I'm gonna be honest, the servers are probably dead, so you probably just play with bots. But
I don't
it
know.
was a kind of cool concept. Like Brink was actually a very influential game, despite not being very good. Like it was one of the first multiplayer games or multiplayer shooters to really do like the wall running thing, and they had like the weight classes for the characters, and It was like a multiplayer story. Like, actually, Titanfall ripped the fuck off of this game. Like, actually, now that I think about it, because Titanfall 1, they did like the multiplayer story where it was like the campaign is the multiplayer missions, and like you can play them in like a different order, and there's two factions and alternate endings depending on who wins. Like, yeah, this was literally the precursor to Titanfall. Actually, that's crazy.
Brink. They truly were on the brink of something good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Brink
It
talk
was kind
over.
of cool because they had like staged objectives. Like, you would like plant a bomb somewhere to start off the level, and then like you move on to the next thing. It was kind of like Overwatch. Actually, yeah. This
Are
is Jesus Christ. This is the most influential shooter of all time. Oh my god.
All right. Question for you. Uh,
Okay.
what are some games you've played when you that you think have really great voice acting or sound effects? And I'm gonna modify the question slightly to what are some like sound effects that have stuck in your brain, like burned into your brain from
Uh,
games?
game sound effects. Let me think for a sec.
Just like I'm sure there's something that's like you've just heard or on a repetition where it's like, oh my god, like or voice lines, you know what I mean? Like the same.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Um.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the funny answer would be Dota because it uses a lot of stock sound effects, but 'cause, like I'll randomly hear like a Dota sound effect in like a commercial or something, and it'll trigger like I'll just be activated like the Winter Soldier or something. Like it's like
Or like any Half-Life 2 sound effect where it's like
yeah,
things getting like hit with crowbar or like the doors like
yeah.
they
Valve does
you
that a lot actually.
yeah.
It's actually really crazy to think. Apparently this got like leaked. Valve only has 50 employees working on Dota, like total. That's crazy. When you compare that to League has thousands.
I mean,
That's like
yeah,
actually
but
kind of insane to think about. Valve was only like 300 people, I think.
I don't know. I mean, but Valve also doesn't like I don't think I've ever seen
They're
a
not like
Dota ad or anything.
yeah, because they like don't have a market. Valve is like all it's basically like all programmers and artists and like engineers.
Yeah, there's like
But
no marketing or like side stuff.
yeah, yeah, I'm trying to think any really memorable sound effects. Um, crap, I would need to like get a list of games that I played when I was a kid. Like, let me check Xbox.com and see if I can sign into my account really quick.
Well, you could even think about like PS2 turning on sound effect or like
Oh
console
yeah,
turning on.
oh yeah, watching the screen and hoping that it would actually work.
That sounds like an Xbox issue.
No, that was a PS2 issue. Like
Oh,
you'd be
like
stuck
having
in
it.
like the little like limbo, waiting for it to actually. Wait, why can't I look at my Xbox profile? It's giving me like an
Iconic
error.
James rapidly clicking to find his Xbox profile. That's an iconic gaming sound effect.
Yeah, definitely. I'm signed in on my Microsoft account and I click Xbox profile and it says that the page doesn't want to respond.
Um, I guess your Xbox account's delete it.
No, I'm pretty sure it still exists. Like I'm signed into it. It just won't let me like.
Michael
It says the
Soft
page isn't
listened
working.
to the pod.
Account.xbox.com is currently unable to handle this request. Yeah, I don't know.
Um,
I guess I'm getting sabotaged by Microsoft. Yeah, let's see. I do have. There are lots of memorable sounds from Skyrim. God, so many goofy sounds from Skyrim. Jesus. Oh man. Uh, what else? And I guess the Batman Arkham games had really memorable sounds too. The sounds of Batman, like the punch sounds in those games were just insane. Just hearing my fist meet the face of some random guy who was robbing a bank so that his daughter could afford her surgery that would save her life.
yeah, just breaking the jaw of a man who's jaywalking
Yeah,
in like 15 places.
yeah, that shit went hard.
Um,
Oh
I was
man.
thinking more like the ones that like stuck in my mind are almost more like annoying or kind of memey, like Bloodborne, like the away plague-ridden rat line that they say a lot, where it's like you plague-ridden rat over
Hmm.
and over again 100 times. Um, also Mario Advance, the it's just what I needed when you do anything in that game.
Yeah. Oh
Uh,
wait, actually, that reminds me. Modern Warfare 2. God, the amount of like voice lines from that game, like the Tango sucker and oh god, the dude yelling Ramirez every 10 seconds because he
oh
needs you
yeah,
to do something.
Ramirez.
Ramirez!
The Burger Town. You got to get to the Burger Town
Ramirez, we need you to kill
or
100
whatever.
people immediately. You're the only one who can do it.
Or
None of these
enemy
100 other soldiers are
AC-130
useful.
inbound. Tactical nuke.
Oh,
That's a good.
yeah.
Doo-doo, doo-doo. Yeah.
My favorite was tactical nuke. It's all over. I remember the
It's
first
all
time I
over.
heard. I remember the first time I heard that. I was like, "What do you mean it's all over? We're up like 40-30."
That is okay. That objectively a bad mechanic that encourages bad
was-
gameplay and
That was
terrible
so
play.
bad.
It encourages campy, terrible play,
Uh,
but it is kind of sick that you can go into a
Yeah.
lobby if you get 50 kills or something
It was
without dying.
25.
You
It
can
was
just
25, including kills from kill streaks. So there were
you
like
just end
optimal
it.
setups where like you just use the most OP kill streaks for 2 of them. You just had the nuke as your third, and it got like so easy to get.
I mean, it's terrible design, but it is cool. Like it is kind of sick.
I
That
mean,
you could,
that's like the entirety of Modern Warfare 2.
yeah, this is the mic drop. Like people, it would never fly nowadays, and it would be terrible, and they should never do stuff like that. But it is
Yeah, I
kinda
mean,
cool.
they changed it in Modern Warfare 3 where it was just like it would just kill the entire enemy team once and it would like change how the map looks.
Oh,
Be like
that's
all
good.
post-apocalyptic. And like
That's
ever since then
cool.
I'm pretty sure they kept doing that.
They should also like. I mean, they kind of did something where like there's kill streaks now that make your like skins, certain skins like glow more and stuff. I mean, that's cool. That's a
Mhm.
good reward for being good. I do like the idea of the kill streak and the point streak doing something that's flashy and a flex too. Maybe not killing everyone, but maybe you should you know what's an underutilized thing, but I understand why it's underutilized. Uh
Yeah.
Microphones, being able to like hear other enemy teams, like when you kill people in Call of Duty, hearing them for 5 seconds, like that
Oh
is the
yeah.
funniest thing of all time.
That shit is hilarious. I can't
Uh,
believe they still do that.
but
Like
it's kind of underutilized though, because no one uses open mic really, especially on PC. But
yeah, it's a console thing.
it's so
Like it's
funny.
those people that'll be blasting like Spanish rap in the background and you'll just hear them scream.
And ignoring their children and
Yeah.
oh my god, it's so funny. But anyway, I think we got to call it a wrap here before we get too nostalgic. Um,
Mayhaps.
and I think I legitimately will eat, and I actually will maybe stream these flash games if I can get them to work, because that sounds right up my alley right now. Uh, so yeah, I've been Matt, aka Matt Fondude. If I stream, you can find me at twitch.tv/Matt Fondude or something. And I'm also on YouTube if you catch all the VODs, and Spotify for the pod and all that nonsense. Who are you? I've been talking to you, but who are you?
I've been Ramirez, and I have to protect Burger
Ramirez!
Town.
You got to get to the Burger Town, and we'll end it at that with a tactical nuke. Goodbye.